Hello, everyone. My name is Katrina, and from my heart to yours, welcome to this very special WXN gathering. First of all, I would like to acknowledge and send a whole bunch of love to Sherry Stevens, the owner and CEO of WXN, and her incredibly passionate and dedicated team for creating this important series as we all together face this unique, unprecedented, and quite unsettling time in our lives. As you know, the theme of this session is letting go of your COVID-19 fears. So it is our intention today to help you to achieve greater inner peace and the tools to help you to achieve that inner peace as we all navigate the storm of uncertainty. As my dear friend Kelly would say, one day at a time. Please know that whatever emotions may be present for you today and throughout these challenging times, that what you're experiencing is completely normal. Your fears, your grief, your anxiety, your anger, your frustration, your insecurities, I call them the three-headed monster. They're always there. It's not just in COVID land. They're always there behind the curtain. And sometimes they're prompted through circumstances to come out. Know that these are natural responses when we are threatened and don't feel in control. The key, however, is what do we do with this? Do we allow it to own it, or do we take control and own it? It is my absolute pleasure today to share this experience with all of you and these four incredible women before you, Gwen, Kiana, Patricia, and Reetu. Namaste, my new friends. Namaste and welcome.
Thank you.
Together, we're going to help all of you, and I believe there's almost 300 of you, so wow, this is incredible. Clearly, we all needed to get together. We're going to help you to navigate this so that you can find that inner peace, that trust in yourself and what's happening around, and come from a place of love rather than fear. For clarity of mind, which will help us to move forward with more grace and have a positive impact on our lives and indeed on the lives of everybody around us, because we're not alone in this. Whether it's our family, our friends, or the rest of the world, we are definitely, for the very first time in our generations, not alone on something this profound. So again, while COVID has brought us together, everything that we're going to take you through in this session is for the rest of your life. Because isn't it much nicer to live from a place of love and grace than fear? Now, I'm not being Pollyanna about this. We all have things that are going to challenge us. Fear is going to rear its head. But how we deal with it, how we look at it, is the most important thing, and that is really the theme of this entire session together. So before we begin, WXN have a wonderful poll so we can get a sense of what's going on with all of you people out there. So Gary, if you want to pop up the poll, we ask you to take 30 seconds and just click on your response. We'll share a couple of minutes looking at that. Then we'll get into the more formal part of the session together. So which one of the following is causing you the most anxiety and fear to COVID-19? You know, I actually want to tick off all of them, but we're not allowed, so just pick one. And then we'll see what the responses are all about. Myself or my family members getting the virus while grocery shopping. Yeah, that is not surprising. Interesting enough, the mental challenges are much fewer. So that'll be very, very interesting as we go through this. So we will keep, thank you very much, everybody who's watching this, for filling out that. That just tells us that it's the outside world that is giving us some fear of actually getting this virus. Full disclosure, I have been very, very sick with the virus. And I actually, just this past week, have been feeling a bit better. I didn't require incubation, so, or any help with my breathing. That's why I'm here today. But I can understand why there is great fear in contacting it. It is quite an unpleasant journey, I must say. Okay, so now we have our first very, very special treat for you. It's important that we soften the mind's chatter, because this is where the fear is rearing its head, right? And that we ground ourselves, and we'll talk more about what does that actually mean. It's not woohoo, to help us through this. And we want to welcome in this experience. So we have Reetu, who's going to take us through a bit of a breathing and introductory meditation, and then we'll get into some questions. So over to you, beautiful Reetu. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina, and God bless. Thank you for being with us today, despite the fact that you've been ill for the past few weeks. So God bless, and we wish you a speedy recovery. So for the meditation today, we'll just do something simple. As Katrina said, you're about to hear from fabulous women. These ladies, we had a call last week, and there was so much magic, and I cannot wait for you to hear about all of this. So in order to start, we're going to let go of all of the past energy that you had from today, and we'll go into a short meditation. So what I'll ask you all to do is, if you're sitting on the floor, that's perfect. Or if you're sitting on a chair, I'm sure you've seen any statues of Buddha or any meditation person, someone that's meditating. They have their first finger lightly touching their thumb this way. The reason why we do this is your first finger represents air, and the thumb represents Agni, which is Sanskrit for fire. So when you have your first finger touching your thumb, it allows all of the air to flow freely through your body. So I'll ask, however you're sitting, whether you're on a chair or you're sitting on the ground, have your hands gently on your knees with your first finger lightly touching your thumb. Beautiful. And now I'll ask everyone to please close their eyes. Let's take a deep breath in all together and exhale. And again, deep breath in together and exhale. I want you all to keep breathing. And this time on the exhale, release any negativity from your mind, any stress from this morning. Visualize that everything is coming out with each of your exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale again. I want you to focus on your breath. With every exhale, your body feels lighter. With every exhale, your soul feels free. Your heart feels open. And now, as you inhale, you will take deeper breaths in, allowing your chest to expand. Your chest is the home of the heart chakra. As you take each deep breath, you're allowing that chakra to expand, allowing more love to enter your life, more happiness, more positivity, and anything negative that was in your mind, everything is melted away. Keep breathing. As your breath softens now, your soul feels as light as a bird. Your body feels as light as a feather. And your heart and soul is ready to listen, ready to take in all this beautiful energy that will surround you for the next hour. All of the light, all of the positivity. Imagine that your entire self is surrounded by a beautiful white light, reminding you that each of you are divine. Each of you have an inner divinity, an inner God, an inner goddess within you. Allow that light to shine through. Imagine this white light surrounding you. As this light surrounds you, it fills you with so much love, peace, happiness, joy. allowing yourself to feel as free as a bird. Your heart and soul are ready now to receive all this light and magic. Take one more deep breath all together and exhale. Whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And I will turn it over to Katrina for whenever she would like to start.
Well, can I just stay in this zone, Reetu?
I would love to.
Bless you for that. And I hope all of you watching enjoyed that. That was absolutely beautiful and welcoming to ground and set the intention of this time together. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
So as I previously mentioned, it's not that fear should just magically go away. That's completely ridiculous. However, is it owning us or do we own it? Okay, fair question. But Reetu, how are you facing your fears and the fears of those around you? Because while this is an internal thing, it's also external. Because we pick up on the fears not only of family and friends and neighbors, people walking by with their masks and petrified to be the specific distance away and everything else. And then, of course, the media, which I won't even get started on. But it's a choice whether we consume it or we don't, right? Everything's a choice anyway. So what are some of the things that you're doing in your daily practices to shift the narrative in the mind when fear does come up to more of a peaceful, more balanced state so that we can and you can move forward in your business and in your life with your family and your friends?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that lovely question. First, let's start off with gratitude. And I think that we all need to have so much gratitude for everyone that's on the front lines, for all of the healthcare workers. Because of them, we're all here today and we're all safe. And I believe the one of the most important things that you all can do is to have gratitude and wake up in the morning and be grateful that you're alive, be grateful that we're here. I know everyone says this is the new normal. I don't believe that personally. If you say this is the new normal, this means we're in, that Will Smith movie, I Am Legend, and this is the rest of our life. It's not, I promise. This is the new temporary, and things will spring back to normal. And Katrina, you made a good point. You said fear is a choice. And that is exactly what I want all of you to understand, that fear is a choice. And we have the ability to change the definition of fear. When you're scared and you're scared to go grocery shopping, or you're scared to, I live in a condo. So the other day I walked past someone and all of us had this fear in our faces. The hallways are only 6 feet wide. What do you do? But fear is a choice. And if you choose to be scared, then you're making the word fear mean fear everything and run. Mm-hmm. And for me, I don't run away from anything. That is not what I want any of you listening today to do. Instead, today, we are going to change the meaning of fear, and we are going to change it to face everything and rise. And that's what I want all of us to do today, is to take that meaning of fear, and make that choice to say, I'm going to instead call it face everything and rise. And if you tell yourself this every day, you will start to change that meaning of fear in your mind. The most important thing that you can do is to trust your own words and to trust yourself. I find that if you wake up and you say, oh my God, I'm tired, I'm old, I'm in isolation, these negative thoughts will be with you all day. But instead, I've been telling people that this isn't isolation. This is salvation. You're being saved. You're home. You're not, in the hospitals, touch wood, thank God. Where if you're home, you're safe. And maybe when you're home, you're saving your own life. Maybe when you're home, you're saving the lives of others. And that is what is most important. This is salvation. It is a time for you to look into your soul. It is a time for you to make that choice to say, I'm not going to be afraid. Instead, I'm going to face everything and rise. The words that you tell yourself are magic. They have the power to heal you. They have the power to inspire you, to motivate you. I want all of you tomorrow morning, or even after you get off this panel today, to tell yourself something about yourself that you love. Maybe you say, I am confident. Maybe it's, I am strong. Maybe it's, today I'm going to change that definition of fear. That is what is most important. I am, and whatever follows that is the most important thing that you can tell yourself. And that's what I've been doing every day, is not focusing on what I'm scared of, but focusing on what can I change? What can I do? How can I help? How can I be grateful? How can I show kindness to others? And how can I change all of this fear and make it an opportunity to change and to help others?
Absolutely. I consider love to be home base. It's what we are, who we are, and variations of love, which is the gratitude, the acceptance, and all those beautiful things that are loving emotions. And fear is the visitor that pops in every so often, right? So Gwen and Patricia and Kiana, do you have anything to add to what Reetu has said? Or she said it all.
First, I want to say thank you, because you know, you're just reminding us that everything is really truly a question of perspective, right? Mm-hmm. A question of how we see things, and not allowing our circumstances to define our future and even our present, right? Absolutely. So I'm really grateful for this definition of just facing everything and rising, because that's what we must do. Absolutely. We have no other choice but to be strong and to rise up.
100%. Thank you.
Absolutely. I truly believe, as much as there is so much pain, the pain of loss of family members and friends, the pain of loss of work and income, just so many things that are happening. I also believe there are many gifts. And not only is our physical planet healing, but it's forcing us to go inside. It's forcing us to face a lot of things from the past that we bring into the present, but we're not aware of that. And also to get out of our head of what if this happens? What if that happens? So fear of the future, right? And so Patricia, part of what is also happening, which may sound very foreign to a number of people or not, who are joining us here today, is that this truly is a time to go within and to recalibrate, to face a lot of things, to honor a lot of things, to see what is important in life, what isn't important in life. So we can either do that by being absolutely forced, which is really happening with the COVID, or to be proactively directed. So what can we do to actually remain inspired and in sync with our greatest dreams and desires? Like, how do we actually get ahead rather than allowing this current situation to consume us, to absorb us, and to put us down in that dark abyss sometimes?
Right. I think, unfortunately, something like this puts us into that feeling of being trapped. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, it's oftentimes that we feel that we're stuck. And actually, this is to, in reality, give us a glimpse into our perspective again on life, and whether or not we've taken the time during our lives to really focus on what's been important to us. And this has been an eye-opener, I think, for quite a few people, because it's always this run to A and run to B and run to C, and all of a sudden your A's and your B's and C's are all changed, where mm-hmm. you are creating new moments, and in between those moments you have more time to reflect. So for those people who have looked at their lives and said, you know, I'm terrorized, I can't believe this is happening, you have to convert that message into, this is a huge gift, this is truly an opportunity. And you're refocusing the energy and replenishing the motivation that you've always thought you should have, or you've wanted to find. For a long time, when I was studying at the University of Toronto with applied mindfulness and transformative mindfulness, and it came to the point where you started to realize the obstacles and the attachments that we have, being that they are fear-based or that they have other basis, are really only of our own making. So in a creative way, and I'll just tap into what it is that I find the greatest joy in, which is writing and painting and having those really lucid moments in life, this has been just a complete blessing. It really makes me realize the deeper that I can go into that thinking process, the more creative I'm becoming, and the more with clarity and just a different removal of those boundaries that I may have put up for myself. So I think for people, we have these incredible brains. They're just magical. They're oftentimes, you know, considered to be such complex structures, but our thinking brain, our neocortex, and our emotional brain, our limbic brain, are really functioning at a new level. And so if you can take the time to do a meditation, if you can take the time to study something that you've always wanted to do, or you feel that you can, you never had the skills for, this is the perfect opportunity for people to really tap into their inner genius and say to themselves, you know, I really think I can do this, and become motivated by that energy. I always look at inspiration, and I quoted myself with, you know, being inspired to be rewired, mastering the 5 radical degrees of life, and their risk, root, remedy, realization, and reality. And right now, all of the risks that we take are now creating new routes for us to see how, in fact, we are going to remedy ourselves into this new reality. And I just feel so many people should just take that as a positive. Certainly be smart, and certainly do all of the right things to stay healthy, and you know between washing your hands and isolation. But in this beautiful isolation, you're not trapped. If you're trapped inside your own mind, and this is the time to start seeking the opportunity. There's so many courses. If I think about, you know, some of the people who've changed my life, like Craig Duswell, write your book in 30 days. You know, Clint Arthur has always said, you just have to show up. So there's so many people who have come out into this world and brought their positivity, and it might be just the perfect time for us to latch onto that and say, you know what, it is about time. I need to remember the emotions that made me feel good. Find the senses around you, you know, from that stuffed toy when you were a child that you hung onto your blankie. You know, as an adult, you still have those things. There might be your favorite cup, or your mug, or a painting, or a piece of poetry. Take the time and actually do that to replenish your own self and master yourself at this time.
I often find that, and I've had a lot of people say this to me, that stiff upper lip, right? And park the fear, and because it serves no purpose and all this kind of stuff. And what happens is that we internalize that, but it still exists. Yeah. And then it creeps up in different ways, and actually can sabotage you moving forward on the path of your dreams. Is there anything, Patricia, and I'll pose this to everybody else, that you're doing specifically every day that is helping you to keep moving forward, whatever forward means to you on that day?
Well, I'll just jump in with attached to suffering is one of the most difficult things that we have in life, being attached to suffering. So to wake up in between those moments and really look at the cessation of suffering instead of bringing it on, it's an opportunity. And I catch myself, and it is trying not to be judgmental, but I do catch myself thinking that, not really a negative thought, but something that I think, oh, and the minute I have an opportunity to change it, I try to. And especially if you're obviously on Zoom calls, or you're interacting with your family and friends by phone. And, you know, I have a daughter who brings a lot of her fears to the conversation. And I have to step back and just say, okay, take it in with a deep breath, but find the resolve inside of yourself that you can have the compassion and offer that. And that's a healing right there.
Anybody else want to add to this part of the conversation?
Sure. I think for me, meditation has always been my savior. And I think similar to what Patricia's saying, where she's trying to find that inner resolve, for me, I do that through meditation. Because, you know, and I start my day with meditation, and I usually end my day with meditation as well. And the reason is exactly as Patricia said, is it's my way of starting off my day with positivity, surrounding myself with positive energy. And that way I won't take in the negative energy. And especially if you're in a position where you're leading others, you can't go to your team and be negative and be scared. You have to be strong. And I also don't want my strength to be fake. I want it to be real, and I want it to be sincere. So for me, when I meditate, and for those of you that are new to meditation, it's even just taking 30 seconds in the beginning of your day, showing gratitude and telling yourself that I'm going to be strong and I'm not going to be scared and I'm not going to internalize any fears. And as Patricia said, if you do have that fear, allow yourself to accept it and figure out what it is that you're scared, and that way you can resolve it that much more quickly.
I think you have to remember that people actually say what their highest thoughts are. And that's something that can also be a good reminder that when someone is responding to you, that you remember that's the highest and best that they can think. And right at that point, rather than judge them, that's the moment, yes, you can embrace them. And doing single focus meditation on a daily and routinely basis gives you that basis, that gives you the guidelines that you need to be able to do that. So it's a fragile time, there's no doubt.
Yeah, and we're so quick, especially women, superheroes, not sometimes, to judge ourselves. It's like, oh, I feel bad. Okay, I'm not supposed to feel bad right now. I'm supposed to meditate. No, I can't meditate. My mind's going crazy. Oh, my kids are screaming. Oh, I've got to answer this call. What am I going to do about work? And we get into this cycle of this zone, right? And it's so easy to get into it. And my recommendation is when we get into that zone, which I get into, you know, I'm still suffering through that. I have to back away, like you're saying, Patricia and Reetu, and I just need to breathe and say, is this real? First of all, is the fear that's coming up actually real? Is it actually happening right now? And also, what do I need to do? What are some things that will take my mind off of it? Is it a good book? Is it listening to a podcast? Is it, you know, what are some of the things I can do to help me to get through each day? And what I've done, even going through the virus and stuff, is that I've always believed in this, is I bookend my day. So I start my day with, I wake up and I'm grateful to be alive. I visualize what I want this day to be like. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I'll have a short breathing meditation just to get myself centered. And I know a lot of people don't meditate and they think it's all woohoo and you know, it's too hard because their mind's still buzzing. It's okay. It's okay. Even taking, like Reetu, you said, even if it's just 30 seconds or a minute of just some breathing, that's a form of meditation. Going for a quick walk in a safe space is a form of meditation, just to clear your mind and everything. And then at the end of the day, I get into bed and I actually have my brother and his husband who live in Costa Rica, and they're doing live Facebook of the sunset every night in Costa Rica. So I'm hearing the jungle and I'm watching this, whether it's raining or the sun's coming down, whatever's going on. And then I do my gratefuls and then I fall asleep. And quite honestly, I've had to do a lot of meditations that were guided. Jason Stevenson, an Australian, is absolutely incredible. And I've been listening to him because my mind was going all over the map, even though I'm a Reiki master, you know, and I practice this all the time. I too was going down into my little dark abyss. And so I was listening to a lot of guided meditations to help me through the process. And I highly recommend that. They're all free. They're all over YouTube, whoever resonates with you. Anybody else want to add anything before we move to Kiana? We're good? All right. So Kiana, it's good to see your face.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
We're talking about being in the now. Now, Eckhart Tolle has been talking about this for a very long time, and gurus from past and present talk about being in the now. And what does that actually mean? Well, it just means being present. It means not talking about thinking always about the past. Well, that happened, so it's going to happen again. Not necessarily. Or just thinking about the future and, oh my God, could I get the virus if I go shopping or whatever the case may be, which is all legitimate. However, being present in the now, because it's really all you have. You don't have the past, you don't have the future, you have the now. So Kiana, while planning for a brighter future is important, you know, let's keep focus on where we want to go in life, even though we're pivoting right now, and that's okay. And a lot of businesses are pivoting, and so be it, and maybe for actually a good reason. How do you stay present in the now while moving your personal life, your businesses, your loved ones, even in your employees and colleagues forward on this journey?
Thank you, Katrina. Hello to you all. I think what I want to start is I want to share a few things that I've experienced and shared, and also really acknowledge that for everybody, I think in some ways there's pieces that resonate, and for those that don't, to leave it. I'm by no means an expert in navigating this day to day, I think, just as most people are. But for me, I think one of the really important things that can support this is this, and in other times has been mentioned, is kind of the acknowledgement of it isn't really an either or situation, and that often kind of coming at it from an either or a scarcity mindset, which I think is a lot of what we're seeing right now, is kind of a scarcity mindset, and being able to come back and recognize that part of our job when that shows up is to also think about how we can shift that, not from an either or of I can feel this emotion, or I can feel this emotion, or I can be in the past, or just in the present, or just in the future, but to kind of acknowledge that and invite the mindset of abundance, that there is room for it all. And I think it's also deeply important in this time that in a lot of the what if scenarios, running through, you know, what's happened in our past, or what we think could happen in our present or in our future, is also sometimes, and what I've learned from myself, as a result of a strength of being able to foresee things, of a strength of being able to problem solve, and of resilience of, okay, this is something I'm feeling, this is something I don't want to be experiencing, this is something I don't want to have happen again, and to problem solve it, which for a lot of success, I'm sure on this call, that's been a part of the strength that has got you to where you are today. But I think what I've really learned from myself in this experience, and from others, is often solving how we're feeling doesn't quite work. And that sometimes being with acknowledging and welcoming what's there, versus trying to fix it or change it or move it or erase it, or exclude it from our current experience, is part of what creates the suffering. And acknowledging that's a strength, to run through those what if scenarios, to try and plan, to try and foresee, to be resilient, to pivot, and sometimes for to be with what we're experiencing is also to welcome it. I recently was speaking to my own therapist, and she said, your anxieties and your fears, they're kind of like screaming toddlers. If you tell them to be quiet and go away, they just get louder, right? And sure. The welcoming of it, what sometimes I'm so fearful of the welcoming and the being with of the fear that is real, is also, in part just wants to be acknowledged, is trying to be your helper, trying to protect you, and sometimes it's not just acknowledging and say, hey, thanks for showing up, thanks for trying to help me, but actually I got this, and to set it down, and to pick a different place. And sometimes it's helping you, because they're very, very, I think in this reality, people across this country are experiencing this very differently. I think there's people with different level of privilege, different life circumstances that is affecting their scenario on a huge scale. So, as much as a lot of people are saying, we're in this together, there's also a very different reality for different people across the country. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. And I think the last thing that I'll say is in trying to be present and trying to be in the now, is also acknowledging that what we're experiencing is far bigger than just ourselves, just us as one individual. That you know, we have this beautiful capacity to also be able to take on and hold much of the collective, and we're experiencing that on kind of a global scale right now. So I think also being gentle with ourselves, and when we notice the bigness and the hugeness of what we're feeling, that's also our beautiful capacity to hold things for the collective. And sometimes even just the acknowledgement that it doesn't all belong to us, it's not all ours to carry. And you know, we can pick a place to set it down. I think even that sometimes for me in getting or not being able to be present is also just recognizing that it doesn't all belong to us, and we have the permission to set it down. And sometimes that feels easier than others, and sometimes just the acknowledgement of it, and it'll look different every day, I think, is a really important piece given our circumstance, our reality in this time, and that's okay. I think there's no one way, and I think that's kind of the most important piece is we take it day by day, we acknowledge it's not ours, and we try and shift from scarcity to abundance as often as we can.
Thank you so much for that. Wow. I have a question for you, and then I pose it to the rest of you. Has there been one circumstance in particular? I'm sure there'll be many, but is there one that you can cite where you really struggled? Something came up and you really struggled, and what you did to try and overcome that, or in fact, overcome that? So Kiana, was there anything?
Yeah, I think
it doesn't have to be during COVID, by the way. It can be at any time.
Yeah. You know, I think an example of that recently is I just finished writing my thesis, and in my thesis, I was in the last final days of writing, and I had this moment. I was actually in Toronto, and I had this moment of if I stop writing right now, I will not. I'll just walk away. I'll never come back, and just feeling completely overwhelmed of navigating, feeling a deep responsibility to take the wisdom of the young people as a part of my research and do it justice and do it well. And part of that, you know, shifting to abundance is recognizing that there's so many different ways to do that, and recognizing that, you know, we have all the wisdom that we need, and if we're brave enough to just acknowledge who we are, acknowledge what we can contribute, acknowledge times that we're in, and not try and be something that we're not, or try and, you know, achieve something that we can't. I think that's been, you know, that was just recently in trying to shift to abundance. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and this is going to be my way. There's flaws. It's not going to be perfect. I have a lot to learn, and to humbly be in service of acknowledging that there's multiple ways of doing it, and this is just my way today, and maybe that looks different tomorrow. And I think that's how we can humbly kind of continue to learn and grow and stay connected.
Key word, humble. It certainly has become a very humbling experience. I've just realized what time it is. My God, we could spend like a day talking. Gwen, I'd actually, if you don't mind, love to chat with you and for everyone to hear your wisdom. This is really all about the chatter in our mind, as well, also, which is based on our belief system, then drives a lot of our thoughts and actions, which then it's basically the law of attraction. What you put out there, you get in return. How do you separate out sort of that negative self-commentary from the situation to attract what you need to move forward in your personal and business life?
Well, thank you. First of all, it's an honor for me to be able to share this space with all of you and to learn from each one of you. Thank you to the WXN, to each one of you, and to everybody who's participating today. And for me, the first thing is to acknowledge it, you know. It's to acknowledge the fear, to, you know, state that it is here, and now we have to face it and rise, like Reetu said. You asked the question to Kiana as well, which was, how do you overcome, right? How do we overcome fear? How do we overcome certain situations that happen in our lives, whether it's through COVID or in life in general? And Reetu said something earlier, which was really about, confronting, your fears. And I've had situations in my life, like the passing of my father. My dad was murdered in 2006, which was extremely, extremely difficult for me, for my mother, my little sisters who had just gone back home in Gabon, who were preparing to go back home in Gabon to live with my dad, who was just retiring. And so one of the things that I remember were a part of the family just wanting us to be soldiers and wanting us to get over it. But the reality is that there's a lot of things in life that we will never get over. We will get through, right? And a lot of times we're told get over certain things instead of saying acknowledge that and get through it, because there are certain things in life that we can't contour. We just have to face them and we have to embrace them. And facing them and embracing them is part of a healing process. About, I think it was a month ago, I was preparing for this big talk. And the morning of my talk, I received a message from one of the people that murdered my father. And it completely, it just almost ruined my day. It was extremely difficult for me. I didn't understand how this person could even have the courage to send me such a message. But then I had to take a conscious decision to put this aside and move forward and elevate myself and rise up. And the reality is that we may not control the things that happen, but we can control how we react to them and what we make of them. And for me, it's always been about making the most of everything that life gives us and to try to find joy, to try to find peace in every situation that occurs. And it's not the easiest thing. It's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. It's very much possible. And I think that it comes with a certain discipline. In French, there's this say where my mom used to always say in French, faut faire violence sur soi-même, meaning you kind of have to be hard at times and be very firm with yourself to say, you know what, I see you, fear, I acknowledge you, you're here, but I will rise above you. And that's also by focusing your energy on things that actually make you happy, on things that make you feel better, on people that elevate you. Because as you said, it's so easy nowadays to just turn on the TV and hear other cases of corona. And when we hear about that, we hear more about the cases of folks that are unfortunately dying, but yet there's way more people that are surviving this, that are living. And so we have to look at that as well. Things are really a question of perspective, and it is true that you attract what you think of. And I don't know if it happened to you before. There are times where someone told me that they have a bad cold, and all of a sudden I go outside and I come home and I feel like I have a cold as well, but I don't have a cold. Right. And then I start developing certain symptoms of this cold, and I don't have it, right? So our minds end up playing. I'm not a doctor, I don't know how to qualify this, and but our minds play a lot of tricks on ourselves. But we have to understand that it's not just our minds, it's ourselves as well, because we're playing with our own selves by making ourselves believe things that don't exist and anticipate things that will never happen. And so we're kind of messing with our own system, right? So we need to catch ourselves when we do this, call ourselves out, and just refocus our energy, redirect the energy towards something that actually elevates us.
And that elevates everybody around you, because one Absolutely. Of the big issues is that there are so many people who have children living with them, or parents, or anybody living their environment, and how do you handle all of that energy and those fears, and how do you tell young children what's really going on? But and to that point, I think, just like the airplane analogy, you put the oxygen on yourself first before you put it on your child, right? And so rising above it, yes, but also understanding and appreciating everybody's fear and honoring their fears, and not saying, well, you shouldn't be fearful. Oh, come on, that's unrealistic. So thank you, Gwen. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm just looking at the time here, and I want to make sure we've got lots of time for questions from the audience, but also beautiful meditation we're going to end with. But very quickly, does anybody want to add to what Gwen was saying? Any further comments on that?
Gwen, you're just such a beautiful soul. You really are just
incredible.
Yeah.
Love you, Gwen.
I love you too.
I could just do this all day with everybody. This is just so great. It's like a giant lovin'. Don't we need that right now? Gee, like an authentic giant lovin'. Okay, so I have a question for each one of you. And I also encourage everybody watching this webinar today to think about the answer to this, which is, what type of person do you want to be when you emerge from this? Anybody want to start?
I will, if you like. I think I'm always aiming to be in servitude. And I think that in my highest and best place that I can, that this time has definitely shown the assets that we all have in so many different ways that we can share. And not just our time or money or our emotions, but definitely just being fully present and being focused on being fully present. And I think I'm going to try really hard to actually be able to, you know, make this a constitution for myself, that I can say at the end of this that I'm going to be even in greater servitude. And maybe, you know, there's aspects of our personalities that, you know, we hide behind, or, you know, we flirt with, wishing we could be a certain way. You're exactly beautifully who you are in the divine grace of this majestic world. And I think we all have to just say who you are and what you look like is exactly perfect. And I want to just look at everyone there and just say, you're all so perfect.
Right back at you.
Amazing. I think for me, so I'm in the hospitality industry, and as you all know, hospitality and travel has really been hit very hard. So through this process, the one thing that I hope I can look back on this and say that I did the best that I could, and that I helped as many people as I could. Because our industry was hit so hard, I launched a project called Project Kindness, where I really encouraged all of our teams, and hopefully other people as well, to give back to the community. So we donated, I believe, 2,500 masks over to the University Health Network. We donated about 1,800 pounds of food to Second Harvest, and the project keeps going and keeps growing. So for me, I want to be able to look back and say, I helped as many people as I could, and I did the best that I could to lead our teams, to motivate our teams, and to be able to get through this stronger than we ever were.
Beautiful. Gwen or Kiana?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, and I mentioned it a bit in the answer to my question, just in terms of, you know, the goal for me is to just be humble. And honor, you know, the huge varying perspectives and experiences and the validity in each and every one of those for everyone, you know, in my sphere and beyond that, and be humble and graceful in, you know, my own experience and my own learnings, in my own, you know, and be loving towards myself through this process, and be humbly in service in the most graceful way possible to those in my orbit and beyond, because there's no one way, there's no right way, and I think really supporting ourselves in that and others is, and hopefully I can do that humbly and gracefully. That's how I would like to be.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Gwen?
For me, it's, you know, I heard Patricia and Reetu say it as well, is to really continue to be in service of others. When I was asked years ago, you know, what is my purpose in life? And my purpose is really to be in service of others. And I think that certain situations in life only highlights and reinforces traits of our characters. And I hope that at the end of this, that I can continue the work that we started doing through COVID with Meals for Hope. I was explaining to you ladies before it started that we, through Meals for Hope, we're serving meals to low-income families, but also to elders and people living with a disability who unfortunately are unable to cook. And I hope that this initiative will continue even after COVID, because we're realizing that, you know, there's a lot of people that are suffering, just not even just during COVID, but before that. So if once all of this is done, I hope that we're not going to forget about these people, and that we're going to continue to work with them and to help them. And one thing that I want to do more is to be kind to myself, and that's something that Kiana just touched on. I don't think that we're always kind with our own selves. We're so busy trying to be kind to others, which is absolutely important, but be kind to yourself. And I see someone was asking a question about, you know, what are other ways of letting go of our fears of COVID? And I think that one of the ways is protecting our minds, protecting our souls with what we feed our hearts with, our eyes with what we watch, our ears with what we hear, and you know, our mouth with, because you know, they say that out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. So let's be kind to one another, and let's be careful with how we treat ourselves.
Yes, beautiful, and sustain that too. Okay, so I believe we have some questions. I think I clicked the little Q&A down at the bottom here. I'm so technology advanced. I'm getting there. Okay. What are the other ways of letting go of COVID-19 fear? Let me just see. Meditations are solution. Okay. Let's do this. Meditation was offered as a solution. What are other solutions?
Solutions for fear?
Yeah. For getting through this, essentially.
For getting through this and for fear. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you have to look at it like crisis management, and, you know, pick a path, pick a direction. We inherently know some of the things that we enjoy doing. And, you know, it's almost like you split your screen and say, I hate this, but I love doing this. And even if you've thought it was sort of a simple thing and you would never have done it, I think it's time to just do it. If you want to go for a walk, I mean, just simple things, looking at old photographs in your, you know, basement or something, go up to the attic, make those phone calls. There's just all kinds of different ways. Just refocus your energy and your mind.
Absolutely.
I say the same thing, actually, that I think it's time now to allow your mind to slow down. And, you know, when it's going really fast, you know, it's like Patricia said, you almost have all these apps going on in your head. I think the best thing you could do is take that time, slow down, completely agree. Make some phone calls to loved ones. If there's something creative that you can do, whether it's baking or painting or anything like that, that allows your mind to turn off a little bit. Definitely, I would say that will also really help. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe you don't have time to do that on a normal basis. But I think now the universe is sort of telling you that it's okay to slow down and it's okay to take a little bit of time for yourself.
Absolutely. There are so many great questions here. I'm so sorry, everybody who's watching, that we can't go through them all. There is one here that I'd love one of you to answer. How do I tell my child what's going on? That's a biggie.
Yeah,
I think that's especially for small ones.
Yes, I think that it's, I mean, it's a question that really also touches my heart. I have a baby here who doesn't necessarily understand, but for those the children who understand, we have to be extremely careful as parents as to how we explain certain situations to our kids, because ultimately it will affect them one way or another. I had the biggest fear of planes because of my mother. And it took therapy to understand that it came from my mother. And I never knew that it came from her. I think that, you know, there are ways to explain things to children without scaring them, but also making sure that they're cautious. So telling them, you know, that I see certain shows on TV where they're showing the kids how to, you know, wash your hands, and this is how, you know, a virus disappears if you wash your hands. Showing them instructive videos without scaring them, I think, or just showing it to them yourself. I saw this person that was doing this with their children at home, and had a bunch of, I guess, pepper. It was pepper in water, and then dropped a little bit of soap, and saw how the pepper kind of spread away, and was teaching the children, this is why it's important to wash your hands, because it will keep the virus away this way. It's fun, interactive ways that don't scare children, I feel.
Yeah, and children, just like animals, pick up on your energy and your fears and everything else. So this really is your inside job to help them to navigate the storm, for sure. I want to give us enough time now, and I do apologize for everybody's amazing questions. I wish we had another hour that we could go through this, because there's some really great ones. So really apologize for that, but we have a very, very special treat for you right now as well. And Patricia is going to take us through a beautiful closing meditation. And then I'm going to come back and close off our session today. So Patricia, my love, over to you.
Thank you. So our wonderful lady panelists, if you would all just go down to your screen and stop your video so that we just have ourselves blocked off, that would be great. Thank you. So if everybody right now would just sit comfortably, and again, please close your eyes. Just take this moment to clear your mind. Let all the words and feelings that we've experienced together over the past hour just settle in. And now let us focus on becoming aware of our breath. Inhale, and as you exhale, feel the breath as it enters with a cool feeling, and then warming as it gently travels down into your lungs. And fill your lungs with a deep inhale, and bringing in the energy, vitality, and prana, our life force. And as you exhale, feel the body releasing the toxins and the stress, the fears, and any negativity or bias that has accumulated as it drains into the ground. Stay with your breath, focusing on the feeling of deep peace. And let's together just take 10 deep inhalations and exhalations together. And as you are, feel the subtle vibration of energy that is running through your body. Become aware of the warmth and tingling of every cell. And feel the energy that is in the extended environment, out to infinity, in the entire cosmos, in every part of nature, and in every living thing. Bring all of those energies together and feel them now all at once. And feel them as one. Visualize all of that energy shining as brightly as 1,000 suns. And bring the shining glow of this bright energy over the crown of your head. And feel it starting to funnel down into your body from the top of your head, slowly going down into your face and neck, traveling down into your shoulders and down your arms, all the way down to your fingers. Feel this healing energy and light going down into your chest, and let that healing light fill your heart. Allow your heart to feel the magnificent healing, warmth, and unconditional love. Stay with this feeling of warmth and love as you breathe again for the next 5 breaths. Feel the healing light go down now into your hips, and feel it continue traveling down your legs all the way down to your toes. Your whole body is now filled with divine healing light and energy. Allow that healing energy to completely fill all the physical areas that need healing energy. Feel it warming, healing, and expanding through those areas. Now bring your awareness to any emotional difficulty and allow the divine healing light to bring peace and healing to any issue or trauma. Bring your awareness to any intention or desire that you may have. Hold the thoughts of those intentions or desires as you allow the healing energy to bring your deepest desires to life and your intentions into reality. Feel your connection to divine energy and light, and know that all is one. Stay with this deep, relaxing, peaceful feeling of bliss for another few seconds. Gently bring your awareness back and stay in this place of deep peace and tranquility. Now let us think of those who are serving us, our family, friends, neighbors, healthcare workers, public members. And let us offer the merit of this day to them. And very quietly you can say, I offer the merit of this day to, and you can name the person or persons. Thank you so much for your participation. And we'll bring our attention now back to the panelists, who I would ask to open up your video again, please.
Oh, Patricia, that was absolutely beautiful, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful gift. I'm still processing. I'm still taking it all in. And I hope all of you who have joined us here today have benefited one way or the other. Maybe there was one small takeaway, aha, that happened for you to help you to navigate whatever it is that you are facing, because we're all having different situations. But at the end of the day, the virus has been sent to us to unite humanity for a common cause, common purpose. And I strongly believe that purpose is to heal our planet. We all know scientifically it is doing that. and to heal ourselves, which in turn will help us in our businesses and our daily lives, our families, and indeed our future, because where we were going was not sustainable. So I strongly encourage you all who are on this to also check out WXN's, other webinars coming up on April 22nd and 29th. And also Reetu, our beautiful Reetu, is starting her weekly meditation series, I believe on April 24th. So I encourage all of you watching to enjoy that beautiful experience and more of Reetu. May your journey be kind, courageous, and above all, healthy and loving. Thank you, every one of you, for joining us. Thank you to Gwen, Kiana, Patricia, Reetu, and thank you to WXN. We love you. Be well. My heart to yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.